Who's the MVP as of right now, February 1st, 2022? Hey guys, welcome back to League Talk. If you're new here, my name is Emmanuel Camia. On here, I make videos about the NBA, giving my thoughts, opinions, and breaking things down analytically. So if you're into that kind of content, then this is the channel for you. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and I'd also like to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And aside from that, let me jump into this video. So back in September, I made a video about the MVP odds, and I made this video before the season started, and it was purely speculation on the MVP odds as they were presented by bookmakers down in Las Vegas. Now in that video I gave my thoughts on the odds, and I also gave my personal MVP favorites on who I thought was going to be the MVP by the end of the season. In that video at the time, Luka Jokic was the favorite to win the MVP, followed by Giannis Antetokounmpo, then Kevin Durant, then Joel Embiid, then Stephen Curry. LeBron James was nowhere near the top of the list. In fact, Damian Lillard was higher than him on the list. First, I want to admit that in that video I did say that Kevin Durant was way too high on that list, and I'd like to retract that because Kevin Durant has been playing his mind out and is in the running for the MVP trophy. But my personal list back then was Luka Jokic, Stephen Curry, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then Nikola Jokic. So that was at the beginning of the season, right? And with the All-Star weekend coming up here in about 10 days, which normally marks the middle of the season, I thought I'd make a second video recapping everything and seeing where we are in contrast to where we were at the beginning. Now, obviously, this can change as the season goes by, right? We still have another half of the season to play, so at the end of the season I will make a final video with my thoughts and who I think should win the MVP. But this is just who is the MVP as of right now, February 1st. I'm making this video. That's when I'm making this video. In this assessment, I will be basing it off of how good the player is and how well their team is playing. I won't be taking into consideration storylines because oftentimes MVPs are awarded solely on the storyline. An example of this is 2017. Russell Westbrook won MVP solely because Kevin Durant left him and he averaged a triple-double. Yet triple-doubles aren't even that special anymore, and in my opinion that year James Harden should have won that MVP. So I won't be taking into consideration storyline, and this is basically going to be just my thoughts, my personal opinion, and what I think, and I won't be taking into consideration the media's biases because they do tend to be very biased towards certain candidates, and a lot of the media figureheads have votes which they sway each other, right? Like they talk on TV all day long and they convince each other of who the MVP is. So I don't have that luxury of being in the loop like that. So this is basically just my thoughts on my opinions on what, you know, I've seen so far. And so first of all, I want to say that I'm going to disqualify Luka Jokic and LeBron James, which is really ironic. Luka Jokic because he was the very favorite going into the season as #1, and I don't think he's a favorite for the MVP at all. Same with LeBron James, even though LeBron James has been balling his eyes out, averaging 29.1 points per game, 7.7 rebounds per game, and 6.3 assists per game. LeBron James is currently in a running and in contention with like 3 other guys for the scoring title. So LeBron, in any other circumstances, would be the favorite for the MVP, but here is the reason why I don't have him or Luka Jokic as the MVP, favorites, because their team is just way too low in the Western Conference. LeBron's Lakers are 9th in the West, and Luka's Mavericks are 6th in the West, right? And Lakers are out of contention if you were to have the old playoff format in which the top 8 teams just battled it out, played for the playoffs. But now because of this play-in tournament, LeBron has some chance of being in the playoffs, but 9th is still super low, right? And even though he's playing really well, the MVP trophy never goes to someone on a losing team, right? As the saying goes, to the victor goes the spoils, and you can't hand the MVP trophy to someone who's 9th in the Western Conference. And the same thing with Luka Jokic. Like, his team was supposed to be one of the best in the West. He was supposed to be one of the best players in the league this year, right? He was supposed to be right up there with Giannis, Kevin Durant for best player in the world. And his team is 5th in the Western Conference, so I just can't give it to those guys, right? And so, which moves me to Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant, I said, right, was way too high in my previous video about the MVP odds. But surprisingly, to my surprise, Kevin Durant was up there with Stephen Curry neck and neck in the race at the beginning of the season for the MVP trophy, and rightfully so. He, with LeBron, is also in contention for the scoring title this year, averaging 29.3 points per game, 7.4 rebounds per game, and 5.8 assists per game. But the thing with Kevin Durant is injuries, right? That is always detrimental to a player who's trying to make their case for the MVP trophy. Ask James Harden last year, right? James Harden last year was battling Stephen Curry in the month of April for MVP. There were talks of James Harden being the best player in the NBA until he got injured, and then crashed and burned. His odds went to the floor. He was no longer in contention, and Kevin Durant finds himself in the same boat that James Harden was in last year, in the sense that he's also, having a great season, but he's injured, right? Kevin Durant is set to miss up to a month and a half with this knee injury that he recently got, and you can't just miss a month and a half and expect to come back and be, in the MVP race, especially with the guy that's, I think, personally is in first place. So to me, Kevin Durant is disqualified. I don't think he's going to be, winning it this year. And the guy I think is in 4th place is Nikola Jokic, last year's MVP. I think in terms of keeping his team, the Nuggets, afloat and in playoff contention, and averaging 26 points per game, 13.7 rebounds per game, and 7.8 assists per game, makes Luka a viable back-to-back MVP, right? Especially if he can move his team from the 5th seed to like the 3rd, 4th. I could definitely see him, garnering talks about going back-to-back MVP. And the reason why is because I really like his stat line, especially that 13.7 rebounds per game, because I really like when centers do more than just scoring. And he's someone who does more than just scoring. I mean, he's also known for his passing, but in this day and age in which centers like Anthony Davis doesn't want to play center, I like that Nikola Jokic can average 13.7 rebounds per game, and he's embracing his role, his position, right? And I really like that. So to me, he's in 4th place, and the guy above him, I think, would have to be Giannis Antetokounmpo in 3rd place. But the reason I don't think he will win it is because, again, the media is very biased, like I said, and Giannis is a back-to-back MVP, and normally in this league, once you win back-to-back MVP, you rarely get to sniff the MVP again, right? They don't give you, like, Giannis won't win the MVP for a few years to come, right? And the reason I say this is because look at Stephen Curry and look at LeBron James. Stephen Curry in 2015, 2016 won the MVP, hasn't sniffed it since, yet he had immaculate seasons ever since then, right? Barring the 2019 and 2020 season, the 2017 season, 2018 season were amazing, right? LeBron James, 2012 and 2013, he won the MVP. He hasn't even touched the MVP since then, right? So, and it's the same thing with Giannis. He won MVP in 2019 and 2020. There's no way I can see the media, the people in the media, vote him for the MVP again. So I think he's out, right? Which brings me to the guy who is second on this list, on my list, right? Which has to be Stephen Curry. Now, like I said, Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant were battling each other for the MVP toward the beginning of the season, right? Especially when Steph went into Brooklyn, the Barclays Center, and he completely torched Kevin Durant's Brooklyn Nets. Stephen Curry was bawling his eyes out, right? His team started off 20-5, right? Averaging 25 points, 5.5 rebounds per game, and 6.3 assists per game, right? He's going crazy, and he also broke the 3-point record this year, right? A lot of accolades, and a lot of glamour, a lot of being on SportsCenter and Bleacher Report and ESPN and all over the place, right? But But the reason I don't think Stephen Curry is number one right now is because in the month of January, the Warriors kind of went into a slump, right? Ever since Stephen broke that three-point record and ever since Klay Thompson came back, the Warriors kind of went into a slump, and that's why they dropped from number one in the West to number two and lost that spot to the Phoenix Suns. And Stephen Curry, ever since he broke that record, was going through a shooting slump, and he just didn't look like himself. But I think he is still number two and still in contention for the MVP trophy if he gets his groove back and if his team can reclaim that number one spot, even if they do stay at number two. I just need to see Steph going crazy like he was at the beginning of the season, right? And so with him out of the way, this brings me to the guy I think is the clear MVP as of right now, February 1st, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has been playing some of the best basketball of his career and of anyone we've seen in recent years, right? He's been garnering comparisons to Shaquille O'Neal. People are saying he's like Shaquille O'Neal, but with footwork and a little bit of touch, a little bit of finesse. Now that speaks to his talent, right? Because Shaquille O'Neal was just known for being dominant. He was big. He'll just run you over. He was a big dude, right? But Joel Embiid is kind of like that with touch, right? And he's also with LeBron James and Kevin Durant is also in a running for the scoring title, averaging 29.1 points per game, 10.8 rebounds per game, and 4.4 assists per game. Again, I like that double-double, especially for center, right? It shows me that he's doing a little bit more than just scoring, especially, again, like I said, in this league where guys don't want to play center, right? And his team is third in the East right now, right? And they are just half a game behind the Chicago Bulls, who are number one in the East. Chicago, Miami, and Philadelphia are literally battling it out for that number one spot, right? And Joel Embiid it's crazy, right? Because I thought when the season started, because of the whole Ben Simmons thing, I thought the Philadelphia 76ers were dead in the waters. I thought that Ben Simmons sabotaged the whole season with the whole, holding out thing. But despite of that, Joel Embiid still balling out, still putting up these crazy numbers, and still has his team in a position to take the number one seed. I think, in my opinion, he's the clear MVP as of making this video, right? Obviously, things can still change, but again, those are my thoughts, my personal opinion, right? I want to see your guys' list in the comments below. If you have any problems with my list, make sure to let me know, right? So again, if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and click here to watch why James Harden isn't happy in Brooklyn anymore. And aside from that, see you next time, kids.